Looks like the map that has been chosen by BlUr is Delta Quadrant, which I'm really excited about because we haven't seen it much in this tournament
Yeah.
yet. It's a very odd map in that you're really close by one another, so a lot of early aggression feels like the right choice to do, but at the same time there are so many bases on this map that if you can figure out a way to defend yourself, you can get a lot of expansions quickly and win with macro.
So possible we could see this one go a little bit longer than maybe
Mm-hmm.
some of the other games that we've seen. Of course, we are tied one game apiece as BlUr just kind of came out of the gates. Horse was apparently all
On
paid
fire!
up. Yeah, I mean, who knows what that horse was eating, but man, he ran and ran and ran, won the race very quickly. And then Sjow in game two just kind of flipped the tables, and
Yeah.
it was pretty nasty.
Zhou showing the art of defense in that game, really having amazing ability to deal with a wide variety of very, very fast consecutive attacks. BlUr, of course, GLKL, good luck, kangaroo luck. BlUr forgot to wish his opponent kangaroo luck in the last game, which turns out was a big misstep. BlUr in the top right as the red Terran against Zhou in the top left as the blue Terran, and already we're noticing that Zhou probably isn't too happy about these spawning positions.
And tell the listening audience out there, why would you not be happy with this? Obviously, we've got the cliff being on your enemy side, but what other things do we have to be looking for?
I mean, it's really annoying the fact that BlUr can be aggressive and expand back to this backdoor expansion, and there's very little that Zhou can do about it if BlUr is in the middle of the map somehow. But at the same time, no matter when Zhou decides to expand, these cliffs are always going to be of little bit of a concern. It does mean that Banshee Harass can be a little bit nicer for Zhou, because when he moves in, there's just empty space over to the left. So, not so much unfair for Zhou's position, but just a little bit different. Looks like BlUr is going to be opting for the fast barracks, as is his opponent. But considering that BlUr has been the king of aggression in all these games, I think he's going to be very happy on this map with the close positions. I'm really hoping to see some more creative flair out of him.
Yeah, he can't really be upset with where he is actually at here, and going to be a while before they actually scout it out. Gas going down for both players as well, bringing up the production tab. Also commenting on the APM as it continues to remain low for both these players, being the calm and collected players that use every single action to the fullest of their abilities, and still putting on a great show here in the EG Masters Cup.
There's the first scout coming out from BlUr. Now, Zhou is known for being a player who people say he doesn't scout, and that's a very fun way to state it, but I think that's not entirely accurate. In a sense, you scout because you're looking for something, and you're looking for a reason to change your strategy. Zhou likes these very jack-of-all-trades builds, I guess I'd call them. Because again, if you just go for a 1-1-1 build, a barracks, a factory, and a starport, you can drastically change your game plan based upon a little bit of information later on. So we see Zhou move out with Marines first, move out with Hellions first, so that way he can get a little bit of extra mining from his workers.
Oh my gosh, he's actually going to move out with this Marine and find the scouting SCV of BlUr, and so he's not even going to get the opportunity to scout his base. If he actually... oh, wow, that'll be unfortunate.
This is so weird for BlUr. This never happens. You're scouting an empty base and a Marine comes and traps you. That's awesome.
And he left. Wow.
Looks like BlUr, though, keeping the theme of aggro, going double racks hidden.
Wow. Very nice. Yes, double racks here over in the corner, closer to the Destructible Rocks expansion. And one is about to finish, other one on the way. Marines starting to gather here at the one ramp for Sjow. He's also got his factory out, and we're getting a tech lab on the factory, so may skip Hellions altogether.
Yeah, you know, on this map, I really do like fast siege mode openings because you can just close off so much space. And then it allows you to take your backdoor rocks pretty easily. There's the Hellion. Oh, Blue Flame Hellion, my favorite opening on any map, just because of how fast they kill things.
And yeah, so Hellion going to come out of there. Blue Flame on the research. And meanwhile, we've got a lot of Marines starting to gather over here, as well as 2 tech labs on these two. He's going to be going for stim and combat shields out of these two barracks. So I kind of like this. This will be interesting to see how it unfolds.
You know, it's interesting. Ordinarily, you go for the Blue Flame Hellion because it's so awesome at killing workers. You hope you get into their base, kill off 7 or 8, because, again, you're investing in Blue Flame Hellions, which are generally not so helpful as the game progresses, because there's more Marauders, more tanks, this sort of thing. However, never count out the fact that the Blue Flame Hellion is going to be great against exactly what BlUr is doing, this big mass Marine Marauder play. So could turn out to be a very nasty situation for BlUr.
Now, what is his, like, golden number? What is the golden number of Hellions he wants to make that Blue Flame effective?
Ordinarily, you go for the Magical 3, but it looks like Sjow delayed that starport a little bit so he could get the Magical 4.
All right.
Until he supply blocks himself, but it looks like, oh no, Sjow just, instead of supply blocking himself, just has impeccable timing, finishing that right en route. Another medevac coming out. Looks like Sjow does want to do a little bit more of that medevacing action, but uh-oh, there's the first push in. And Sjow, is he actually going to be able to walk up into the main? He encounters some Marauders, hasn't encountered all these Marines yet. This is risky from BlUr. He doesn't have stim yet. He doesn't have combat shield. There's the combat shield finishing. There is the load up into the medevac, but it looks like he might have to pull everything back if he wants to stay alive.
He's going to take one Hellion going up this one ramp. There is a bunker going down at the front. It will be canceled and move back. Meanwhile, we do have a dropship heading on over to his opponent's base, but he is going to go ahead and make his way in here, stimming up, pick out a supply depot, and keep an eye on what we've got going on back here. Here comes the Hellion drop.
It's a total lift. He's abandoned everything. BlUr has decided to go all in. He's going to pick off his opponent's unit-producing structures, and it looks like Sjow realized this. There's the stim. He needs to pick off that Hellion. He does it, and it looks like there are more infantry coming from behind, but there are also all of these SCVs in the fray. The only way that Sjow can possibly come back is if he gets some good hits on those Hellions, but there are a lot of units already in the main. There are the Blue Flame Hellions chasing down some of these Marauders, and it looks like Sjow might end up losing to this all in.
Yeah, I think he is. The Marauders got these Hellions backed up back here, and so they are doing absolutely zero damage to what is going on here. The base is going to have to be completely moved, and Sjow almost in a display of confusion, moving his command center to who knows where, as the rest of his base is completely annihilated. We do have some units picked up and moving over, but literally an SCV and an SCV.
Oh
so,
my gosh.
This is not looking good.
Well, that's one way to deal with the Blue Flame Hellion drop. BlUr just saying, yeah, I'll just not mine for a little while. I'll stockpile energy so I can triple mule when I eventually do land it. But in the meantime, I mean, BlUr being very thorough with 100% of his workers and his army, checking around, and it looks like Sjow is going to try to expand to his opponent's main. It might actually be the safest place for him on the screen, but I mean, rapidly Sjow is going to realize that there's almost no outs.
Wow, I can't even believe that this game is still going on at this point. This is probably one of the most bizarre things I've seen as the army of BlUr moves back into position. He does not want to put down, oh, he did put his command center back down because these two Marauders did clean up what was left there. And look at this, we've got supply depots being made here, so SCVs moved around the map. We still got two medevacs out. The factory over at the far gold, and then the command center mule mining proxy with the gold.
Now, weirdly enough, this is the one tech structure that Sjow actually wants to have up, as he can get the Blue Flame Hellion, maybe pop in there, do significant damage to the worker line yet again, but we're seeing BlUr focus everything on just blocking that mineral line, so it's going to be tough for Sjow to break.
Oh, wow. Two barracks now going down into the back of the base of BlUr. I can't even believe that he's still going for this, but he's got hope. Something deep down inside is telling him to keep on playing this game, as he has got obviously 3 workers to 24 workers on the screen. We do.
There's the good game.
There
he got spotted. Tried to find some sort of way in, but I mean, BlUr with the insane all-in response saw the Blue Flame Hellion drop, countered with everything. But what I love so much about these huge busts by BlUr is the way that he responds afterwards. He calmly killed everything off and then pulled everything back and just stayed calm. He wasn't hunting for anything else on the map. He just said, yeah, I probably have a better economy right now. Just going to let that advantage extend itself.
That was pretty nicely done, and I wonder if he's going to have to calm down his nervousness just a little bit there as well, because, you know, he got a little shaken up there in Game 2, but Game 3 goes to BlUr from VT.